Hey guys, how is everybody doing? We're going to be going over the ninth step, phase one foundational workout, number 4. I'm going to walk you through all of the exercises that we're going to be doing here. The first exercise that we're going to be doing is a sled push. All right. And what's important to remember with a sled push is regardless of whether you're using a sled, and I'm about to use a bucket that I filled up with sandbags, which is a great option to use when you're at home. You want to make sure that you're getting low. You don't want your butt up in the air, as I'll demonstrate shortly. And you want to make sure you're driving with your legs. It's not about how fast you can push the sled. It's about, can you control it? Can you feel the muscle pushing forward, right? Again, remember, this is about a conditioning exercise. It's not about how fast you can push it. You're putting in maximum effort for a short distance. So what we want to do is get the muscles used to that kind of power move. So that's what we're working on here, right? And I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now. So as you're coming up to your sled, now again, I'm using a box here. The Bulldog is totally optional. All right. But what you want to remember is that you want to get up to the handles, whether it be here or whether you're holding down low, like I'm doing on the crate here, but you don't want to be up like this. You're not pushing it with your arms. You're pushing it with your legs. So take your lead leg, step the other leg back, and get low into it, right? Brace the core, right? Arms should be locked in because we're not pushing with the arms, we're pushing with the legs, and get that drive going, right? And then step, big steps, and drive it back. So it's a drive with the legs, plant and drive it. Okay. That's what you want to be doing. You want to think driving the sled, not pushing it, driving it with your quads to get the most effort out of it. All right. On to the next one. All right. Next up, we have the cable row. All right. What you want to remember with the cable row, and I'm going to demonstrate this here. All right. So I'm using a cable machine. All right. It's a body weight cable machine. It's a total gym. Whether you're using that, um, even you can even use bands or you're using just a cable row machine. What you want to make sure is that you're sitting up. Okay. Not leaning back, not leaning forward. We're not on a rower, right? Sitting up. And actually, what you want to do is you sit up, is as you pull in, you want to almost sit up a little bit more, right? So that you can actually feel your back going down and back, okay? That's how you want to feel that. And I'll demonstrate that on the machine here, but as you're rowing, you almost want to pull yourself forward a little bit more, all right? Use a wide grip, not the narrow grip, all right? Not too wide, but wide. Shoulder width is good here. And you can use this with a bar pull, or I'm using here like the like a D handle curl. All right. So I'm sitting up into it, right? Pulling the shoulders down and back. And as I row and get to the top, I'm almost leaning forward just a little bit more so it gets into my back. Not leaning back, not leaning forward. Pull it in. Notice how my arms aren't just doing the pulling back. All right. I got the shoulders engaged. So when I'm doing this, I'm feeling it between the shoulder blades, along the shoulder blades, and even towards into the traps a little bit, right? That's how you want to make sure that you're getting into the back. If you're feeling it mostly in this area or feeling it in the shoulder, you're using too much arm. The shoulder shouldn't be torquing forward. The shoulder should be going back. All right, on to the next one. Next up, we've got the skull crusher. I'm going to use the easy bar for this. You can use dumbbells for the skull crusher if you want to. All right. But the easy bar gives me this kind of a grip. So this gives me a little bit more forearm work. And I like how it how it kind of stabilizes the wrist, right? Kind of builds up some wrist strength as we're doing this. When you're doing the easy bar, right? One, don't actually crush your skull, right? Bring it down to where it's about, you know, an inch or so below. You should kind of have that feel like it's near, but you're not actually getting that close. And make sure that your elbows are tucked. Your elbows are flaring out too much. Again, you're getting into the shoulder too much, and we don't want to do this. This is very much an isolation move on the tricep. So we want to make sure we do that. So I'll set you up here with that, but make sure that you're braced and everything like that. And I'll show you how to get there without no problems there. All right, first, when you're coming into it, right? Notice here, I'm not far back. I'm not too far over my chest. My arms are straight up in the air. I like to use a narrower grip. You can go wider if you want. That'll hit the tricep in a different way, but I recommend sticking with this kind of almost like you see here. It's on the inside of the bend here. Okay. So I'm situated. I brace. I'm pulling my shoulders down and back. This gets that stability in there. And then I'm going to just hinge from the elbow to just about an inch above my head, and then pressing up and extend. All right, extend. So when my hands are in this neutral position, I can't quite lock out my elbow. I can get a full extension of the arm, but I'm not in that locked elbow position. I don't want to go that far. All right. So you're going to feel this in the entire part of the tricep right in here. If you do feel as though it's easier on your shoulders, you can move it back slightly and more towards the top of your head. Technically called a shoulder or a head tapper, but we want to go right towards the forehead and press it away. All right. One more exercise to go, and I'll be right back with that. All right, last exercise in phase one, foundational 4, is an overhead carry. You may even hear it called a waiter's carry, but ultimately what we're doing is building stability in the shoulder and using the core for stability, right? Don't just rely on the arm to hold you stable. And I'll walk you through some tips to make sure that you do that, but we're ultimately trying to build stability through what they call the shoulder girdle. And I'll explain that here in a second. All right, so I'm going to be using a kettlebell for this. You can use dumbbells if you want to. You can even hold a plate. If you're going to go for a true waiter's carry, hold it up over your head, right? So I'll kneel down here so that you can see the stabilizing position, holding it here, pressing up, all right? And now the kettlebell is directly over my head. We don't want it out to the side. We don't want it too far back, and we don't want it too far forward. In ultimately a comfortable position, all right? So that you can see it there on my right side. And if I do it here on the left side, all right, it's even with my ears, not too far back, not too far out, not too far forward. Find that position where you feel the most stable. What I like to do to get it to feel stable is I shrug it up and I lock it down, right? That's all I want to do is make sure I feel as though under here, right, the scapula, shoulder blades, right, the traps engaged a little bit more. But ultimately, I should be able to come up and kind of push my shoulder, and it should feel nice and strong and stable. All right. And then I'm just going to walk back and forth, right? We got that 20 yards that we're doing here. So I got my kettlebell up, lock it into position. All right. And then I'm walking forward, trying to maintain that core strength, right? As I turn, maintaining this again, this is one of those where it's not about how fast you can do it. It's about how stable can you make yourself. This is also one where you want to check your ego at the door. Don't worry about how heavy it is right now. Go for what you can feel comfortable. You should feel a little bit of A burning, that means that the muscle's getting engaged, but it should be towards the end of the exercise, not right from the get-go. You shouldn't be wobbling all over the place. Your arm should be stable in the socket. If it's not, back it down, and you can always build up from there. And that is day 4. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want to change energy exercises, I will be glad to help you out with any of those. Thanks for joining.